We're on the YO Ranch in Texas. Dirt King hunts the Axis deer. Erlene Mandrell has a black buck antelope in her sights. And Charlie Ingram takes a shot in the dark. That's coming up on Outdoor University. It's time for Outdoor University with Charlie Ingram and Dirt King. Join nationally known outdoorsmen Charlie Ingram and Dirt King as they give you the inside tips on hunting. Whether you're after white-tailed deer, wild turkey, elk, or ducks and geese, Outdoor University can teach you all the fine points that will make you a better hunter. Today on Hunting University, we're in Texas on the YO Ranch, about an hour and a half outside San Antonio. And it's one of the oldest, largest, and best managed exotic game ranches in the entire United States. More than 60 exotic species call this 40,000 plus acres home, and that's over 60 square miles of rough and rocky Texas hill country. Some of the exotics grow and reproduce much more easily here than in their native lands. And today, Charlie Ingram and Dirt King are finding out that around here, just getting to the hunt can be a challenge.
By the way, I don't know whether you've noticed it or not, but we may be shaking around just a little because our buddy Jimmy, Black Hat Jimmy, he's a driving machine. Off season, he's a Baja racer. There's old Black Hat Jimmy right there, right in the center of the lens. What do you think about that?
This property is so big that the day usually begins with some time in a truck, just getting to the general area of the ranch that you want to hunt. And Jimmy Dryce, YO Guide number 22, is known for starting each hunt at what you could call a pretty lively pace.
Baja's got it cranked, baby. Y'all ready? All right, this is what you call the Baja. This is the Baja run. All right, Black Hat, try not to kill any of these deer. Oh, Lordy.
Those native Texas whitetail are all over the YO, but they're not what Dirt's after. The next morning, Dirt heads out with Erlene Mandrell and YO Wildlife Manager Eric White to hunt the Axis deer, a species introduced from India in the 1930s. And there are some big Axis around here. The world record was set on the YO in the summer of 2005. And it's not too long before Dirt, Eric, and Erlene spot a mature trophy Axis buck, but he's too far back in the brush for a shot. This is a good buck, but there's too much chance for a problem on a shot through the bushes. Using some restraint and patience will produce a better shot and helps their chances for an even better buck.
Well, it's going to be a problem. This is going to bust out. I'm going to walk up here to this tree.
That big Axis is holding in a little grove a couple of hundred yards away, so Dirt walks up on him, ready to shoot.
So he ought to be right up here in front of us a little bit. Is that him?
Wounded animals can be hard to find in this thick cover, so Eric's brought a dog to help locate that Axis. And as it turns out, that buck didn't get far.
It came straight through here and kind of went off through there, didn't it?
I thought it went there. Straight and yeah, I think you're right.
The chase has covered maybe half a mile, and now it's nearly over.
Watch him on this side. Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think? Early?
That's a nice deer.
That's my turn.
That's a nice deer. Yeah, it is.
Look at that sucker.
Look at that's beautiful.
Good one.
You asked me earlier, you know, how come you can't find them just to make them stand still? You figured out the trick to that. And I said the trick to that is you keep looking at them and sooner or later one stands still.
Isn't that amazing?
And that one did. Look at all the mass on them and nice bows, big old caudal tines. That's what they're usually missing. You can tell he's been fighting a little bit.
You know, I keep talking about this exotic hunting. I'm telling you, to be able to do this in the middle of the year and be able to go with your friends instead of just having to sit by yourself all the time, it's an amazing thing.
There was a wildlife biologist, and I wish I could give him credit for it, but who said that the Axis deer is maybe the perfect deer because they got these huge antlers. You know, they're really not much difference in the size than a white-tailed deer, but they got these big antlers, beautiful spotted coat, And it's the best eating meat that I know of anywhere. You can go to Africa or anywhere else, and it is phenomenal meat. Real red, real fine-grained, and absolutely no gamey flavor whatsoever.
This is not usually the time of day to take an axis. They're generally more active toward sunset.
Sometimes you'll catch them bedded down, and when they're bedded down, if they get spooked, they'll stand up and kind of stretch and look there, just like if you get woken up out of a deep sleep.
Well, when we came up over that little rise, you know, anticipation was that he was going to be up close, and sure enough.
He's right there.
Yeah.
Later that same day, Dirt and Earlene and Eric go out for a little scouting, getting ready for Earlene's hunt in the morning.
There were 4 right down here.
And as the day draws to an end, they're enjoying some of that southwestern scenery and planning what they'll do tomorrow.
Well, it's a shakedown. You know, you get all the equipment ready, and be first thing in the morning. We'll be out here playing hard.
Breakfast is at 6.
Sunset in the Texas Hill Country. You could put this one on a postcard. We'll hunt the black buck antelope with Dirt King and Earlene Mandrell next. We're on the YO Ranch, enjoying a Texas sunrise with Dirt King, Earlene Mandrell, and YO game manager Eric White.
So you have to get up every morning and look at that sun. Is that a problem?
That's never a problem. I actually like to get up and see the clouds in the morning, because that means it's going to rain, and then we don't have to feed the deer.
Earlene is going after the black buck, a kind of Asian antelope that's been raised on Texas game ranches since the early 1930s. The YO is one of the few places you can hunt like this in the summer. Texas does not restrict hunting of exotic animals on private land, so taking exotics on the YO is legal at any time of year.
You can hunt exotics day and night. They're considered by the state of Texas as private property, livestock, unlike whitetail, which are considered a property of the state.
Nearly all of the hunting here is done safari style. You drive to the general area with a guide, then get out and stalk the game on foot. The YO has the largest collection of free-roaming exotic game in the United States. Exotic species like the black buck have adapted to their Texas environment over generations of management, and now they are flourishing, doing even better than first expected, and they have adapted as native Texas wildlife.
Look at him drop those horns back. Boom, boom, boom.
There's somebody over the hill he's trying to impress. When they put that head back like that, there's a does over there. That's why. Watch him, yeah. See, they work him like a cutting horse.
Oh, he's running all right.
He's trying to herd him away because there's other bucks out in that field, so he wants to keep them away. He's cutting his does off. There's all kind of bucks we saw through here, so he's trying to keep them separated from the bucks.
Look at him.
They'll establish a little old territory, and they'll stay true to that territory.
Look at him. What's he running there? Well, that's another little buck, isn't it?
That's the same one. That's a whitetail buck.
Yeah, it's whitetail buck.
Animals like those black buck did not just grow here on their own. They are the result of years of careful management aimed at producing a large, healthy herd with the potential to become memorable trophies.
I would guess we've got the largest big game hunting operation in the world. We had about nearly 1,000 hunters last year. I don't think anybody else surpassed that.
That commercial approach to wildlife management is keeping some exotic species alive. Hunters pay to harvest them, and that gives ranch managers an economic reason to help those animals survive. The black buck antelope is thriving here and on other ranches across Texas, but in its native range in India and Pakistan, the black buck is nearly extinct due to habitat destruction and overhunting. Commercial management means that when Earlene and other hunters want to go after a black buck, the black buck will be there for them to hunt. They've spotted a herd of black buck off in the distance, and now they're trying to work their way closer.
We'll try to move up here behind this little patch of woods. Maybe we can get a little better cover. Come up here, Earlene.
Earlene has her shot lined up on that big black buck.
You locked in?
I see her.
Okay. Shoot him right below the neck. That's a look.
That's not as big as the one we saw earlier. Your call.
She says no. Let's try for another one. And the hunt is back on.
Earlene, I'm not disappointed in that. It was such a pretty camera shot.
Yeah. Well, that's just the way it works.
Not far away, Charlie is doing some stalking of his own. We'll go after the axis deer when Outdoor University continues. From the Shooting Bench is brought to you by Mid-South Shooter Supply.
You know, on most of our shows, we've got some big highbrow celebrity or some super shooter or whatever, but today we got people with us that actually make a big difference. This is Jerry Jordan from Mid-South Shooter Supply. If you ever need anything that'll go in a gun, on a gun, or a gun will go in or go through a gun, this is the guy you need to call. We'll put to how you get to him in a minute, but we're going to talk about a few things first. Jerry, I appreciate you rigging this gun up for me. Not this show, but the next show is going to be when I actually use this. This is a CZ Ultimate Hunter, and when I got down here and got ready to zero it, which I did, and we'll talk about that too, but what Jerry did is he decided, based on what I was going to do, how far I was going to shoot, caliber and all those things, what scope I was going to use, and I want to know why you chose this Burris.
Well, Burris makes great scopes all the way from handgun scopes to scopes for your high-powered weapons. This particular one is a tactical series, which is built 42% stronger than the others. So you build it stronger, build it to last longer in tougher conditions, and New Zealand is not always pleasant to be in.
And you stock about every one of the...
We try to keep everything that they make. If we don't have it, we can get it within about 2 to 3 weeks.
Right. What do you think is the most important thing other than the rifle and the scope?
Well, the most important part is putting the two together, which is your base and ring setup, which could be a one-piece setup or it could be two-piece, or even now the completely one-piece modular with the rings built into the base.
Now I understand there's one unique thing about Mid-South beyond most anybody else, and that is you got a place on your website that they can plug in a rifle and it'll give them the options for bases and rings.
Yes, built into our website is a complete base and ring setup for just about every gun that we know of and every base and ring combination you could have.
So on the website, this tool that you've got for Joe and Fred, average hunter or the professional hunter,
Right.
you can plug his gun in, it'll give him options for bases and rings. Come back to Mid-South, plug in the gun, get the
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to tell you it's time to eat supper.
There's no
and,
justice.
And Jerry might, he
There's
might
no
be
justice.
busy. I think there's somebody, the phone's ringing and we might need him
Listen.
to sell something. So y'all get done and let's
If you call and you don't get an immediate answer, it's because they're talking to somebody else, and that little sweet young hee-haw, wonder why we call her hee-haw, if you'll listen to her message on the telephone, you'll figure it out. But she'll get right to you or get somebody right to you. If Jerry can't answer it, she can't answer it.
Jerry knows more than I do, but I'm more fun.
Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back on Outdoor University.
Outdoor University sponsors are giving away some great outdoor gear on the Outdoor University website. Go to outdooruniversity.tv and click on Gear Giveaway. You just might get a valuable gift from one of the many fine sponsors who bring you Outdoor University. We're on the YO Ranch in the Texas Hill Country, hunting the axis deer with Charlie Ingram. The YO has more of these than any other exotic. They're about the size of a whitetail, but they feed mostly on grass, and they're some of the best eating you'll find anywhere. Charlie is walking up on a small herd of axis. They're a little suspicious, but not enough to run away.
That's about as far as we can get, I think.
Even though it's a pretty picture, it's still a long shot, and Charlie wants to be sure.
If he can get behind that crooked limb where he can kill him, that'll be 230 yards.
Charlie's just about decided not to shoot when the deer make that decision for him. So it's back in the truck and off to another part of the ranch to try again. But they're running out of daylight, and they're still a good way back in the brush. On the way back to the lodge, though, they see something way off in the distance. And when they move in a little closer, they can see that Charlie is about to get his chance.
I'm fixing to get the right hand one. How far is it, Jimmy? 2.5. Okay.
These two axis bucks found the wrong place to pick a fight. The question now is which one to shoot.
I think the one on the right's the biggest, right there. There's on the left. Which one do you think's the biggest? You want the back? That one. The right one. The left one there. I'm gonna keep on it, bro. Good miss.
Did I? Yep. Boy, that's a long shot, and I'm telling you, it's dark.
Good scope makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. You know, being able to pick it out. There he is. There he is, Jimmy. Right there. Man, let's pick him up so everybody can see this thing. Now, he's not a giant, but I'm telling you what, these are a lot of fun. And we saw the fight. I'm talking about an awesome fight. It was worse than Ollie and Frazier, man. I'm talking about it was unbelievable. We've seen a lot of axes this week and a lot of different animals here on the Wild Ranch. And I'd like to thank Jimmy, Clyde the Guide, number 22. He's been here a long time for taking us on this great hunt here on the Wild. I'd like to thank Eric White on the Wild for having us here on this hunt.
Coming up, preserving exotic species on the YO and some reasons hunters should work together to protect game, habitat, and the shooting sports.
We've been embarrassed about it for some reason. I don't understand why.
We're finishing up an exotic game hunt on the YO Ranch in Texas. Dirt King and YO Wildlife Manager Eric White are taking one final look around, roaming all over the ranch to see the exotic and the native game. Nature can be against you out here in the Texas Hill Country. One good rainstorm, or the lack of one, can affect your entire year, and anyone who's willing to take that kind of risk has to really care about the land and the environment.
You're going to set up a company to do this. You can't do it. It gets so unwieldy. It's got to be people that have got an absolute passion about the control of the wildlife, about the prolification. Of course, you got to make money at it because you couldn't keep this place.
You can't just make a model and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and we'll have this many babies, and this many are going to die of old age, and it's just going to work out this way. It doesn't work that way. It's always this big ebb and flow, and always has been.
That ebb and flow, that interaction of man and nature, is particularly important here on the YO, where so many species are not native to this land. Hunting that exotic game is obviously a business here, a business that provides an economic reason to keep those species alive and brings in money to support them. It's a cycle that builds on itself here and on public and private land across the United States and the world.
If you go to Kenya, you won't see many elephants unless you go to the parks. You got to knock them out of the road in Zimbabwe.
Exactly.
And that's an amazing thing to think about. But that's probably the best example is really the elephant example.
It is.
And there's an example here on the YO. The black buck are almost extinct on their home range in Central Asia, but responsible management based on hunting means the YO's black buck are doing so well that they've sent some breeding stock to other countries to help rebuild those native herds. That cycle supports native species too. Deer and turkey are thriving in places where they used to be rare because of conservation work that hunters started and paid for. But many of hunting's enemies don't recognize that.
I can't fathom. There must be a wall there that says, oh, there were no turkeys, but now there's turkeys everywhere. Oh, there were no whitetail, and now they're everywhere. And now you have animals here, exotics, categorized as exotics. That actually do better here than they did in their native countries. And you actually send some back to help them get their herd started again. I mean, where's the bell gonna go on? I'm missing it, buddy.
Dirt says the hunting and shooting sports need to present a strong and focused message to help non-hunters understand what hunting's really about and how hunting helps both game and habitat.
It's gonna have to happen. Something's got to happen. We can't allow this continual attack on the hunting, shooting sports industry.
We've been embarrassed about it for some reason. I don't understand why. Or we haven't been patient enough to help people understand why it is so important.
Well, we must like this game because here we are sitting in one of the greatest places on earth to go look at wildlife, and we're discussing politics, you know?
Well, I hate to do that, but it is so important. It really is. You know, we're at an age, and we're at a kind of a point in history where I think there's some things that can be done. And I think we have made some strides in recent years.
Let's take a little look around. I got to get out of here tomorrow.
We still got a little more sun left. Let's go.
We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
It's been an outstanding hunt. Challenging stalks, difficult shots, and game we could never see at home. But while these days on the YO are something our hunters will always remember, the need to preserve and protect our hunting heritage is something they should never forget.